Hey everybody, and welcome back to Investing with Wesley. You know, all over my channel in various videos that I talk about, I try and help you really learn how to analyze certain stocks, analyze certain companies, and determine for yourself if it's truly an investment or not. I've made videos explaining to you what the PE ratio is, the PB ratio, the PEG ratio. All of these different ratios will help determine how overpriced or undervalued a particular company is. But at the end of the day, they're just guesswork because these only represent a small fraction of the larger picture. Now, in today's episode, I want to teach you how to find the intrinsic value of a stock or of a company. And once you know its intrinsic value, you can also determine whether that value falls below its market cap or above its market cap, and that will also help you determine whether you're buying on sale or overpriced. But anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so really what is intrinsic value and why do we want to find it so desperately? Well, intrinsic value is you coming up with the fair price of the company. Whenever you're investing in a company, think of it like you're buying a money printer. Would you spend $2,000 on a money printer that printed you $1 a day and your goal was only to keep it for 30 days? No, that's way overpriced. But maybe you'd spend $15 on it because you knew you'd be doubling your money in the end. That's the whole goal with finding the intrinsic value of a company. Or bringing it back to stocks and companies, can the business you're buying deliver you enough cash quickly enough to make sense for you to buy it at market value right now? Because if it can't deliver you cash quick enough, then it's probably not worth your time in buying. So how do you find the intrinsic value or the fair market value of any given company? Well, there's 6 steps. Step number 1, though, is to find the current free cash flow. Now, some companies are large enough to where you can do a quick Google search and it'll tell you its most updated free cash flow. Other companies aren't large enough or aren't on many people's radar, so you'll actually have to do it the old-fashioned way and pull up their financial records. Now, if you do it the old-school way, you're going to want to look for numbers next to these 2 titles. One is the cash from operating activity. You're going to take that number and subtract the payments from property, plant, and equipment. These are the 2 numbers you're going to look for in the financial statements, and they'll be roughly right next to each other. So once you find one, look closely because the other one's not far away. Now, once you have the free cash flow number, you want to grow that number by 10 years, or however many years you intend on holding this company. For me, I usually do everything at the 10-year mark. Now, this is the part of calculating the intrinsic value that really requires you know exactly what you're doing. That's why a lot of investment advisors, as well as just really good investors like Warren Buffett, will tell you never to invest in a company that you don't understand. Because in step number 2, you're going to have to take all the knowledge you have, all the past performance of this company, and do some calculated guessing on what it's going to grow into 10 years down the road. Now, you can look at the average previous 10 years FCF growth. You can also look at the industry as a whole's growth rate. Understand what part of the business are its future growth drivers. And lastly, when you're researching all of this, you want to be realistic. It's unrealistic for you to think that this company is going to grow 300% every year for 10 years. I would say a good ballpark you should be aiming in is anywhere from 8 to 15%. Now, there's some companies out there that, by my calculations, deserve a 25% growth rate, but even then, that somehow to me still seems unrealistic, so I like to lower that number down. Even if I think the company's going to grow 25%, I'll probably just lower it back down to 15%. Because hey, even if I'm right, it just means it's going to grow that much more. But like I said, when you do your own calculations, be realistic. Now, like I said, you want to grow this by 10 years. So on a piece of paper, take the current free cash flow and add whatever that growth rate that you calculated was. In this case, let's say it's 10%. You would add 10% to the free cash flow every single year. 10% of that, 10% of that, 10% of that, and you would do it for 10 years or however many years you plan on holding. This gets you your 10-year free cash flow timeline. Now, once you have this, you take the 10th year's free cash flow and multiply that by the multiplier you were using. In this case, it was 10%. Now, once you get this, you have step number 3 completed, which is find the terminal value. Now, whenever you own a business and you intend to sell it someday, you're not going to sell it for what the business is worth right now. You're going to charge a markup, and this is the terminal value. This is the big check that you're going to receive from some investor that wants to buy you out of your company. Okay, so now that you have your free cash flow timeline as well as the terminal value, The next step is to get the discounted value. Because remember, all those things are what the fair price would be. You're trying to buy this stock not at a fair price, but at a discount so that you could see healthy gains along the way. So let's say you wanted to see a 15% average growth in this company year over year for those 10 years. You would discount all those numbers in the timeline by 15%. Now you'll know you're doing it right when you see an interesting thing happen with the number. On the original timeline, you see the numbers slowly get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as you reach the 10-year. However, on the discounted timeline, you see the numbers getting smaller as it reaches the 10-year. And when you see this, just think to yourself that this is the opportunity cost factored in. Now, discounting the future cash flows is step number 4. Step number 5 is to add all those cash flows together, including the new discounted terminal value. Add all those things together, and that gives you the big number you're looking for, which is the intrinsic value of the company. Now, theoretically, you could stop right there. You already have the intrinsic value. Now all you need to do is go to its market cap and determine if what you're buying is overpriced or underpriced. But I told you there were 6 steps, and the 6th and final step is to create yourself a moat of safety. Now, a moat of safety is strictly for you because no one can predict the future, which is what we're trying to do right now. And basically how this would look like is if you found the intrinsic value of a company was equal to whatever the stock price is, you still wouldn't want to buy because you're buying at its fair value. You'd wait for the market to dip into that discounted value that you previously calculated. And this would be a perfect opportunity for you to buy if you knew you were 100% correct. But the problem is, we don't all know that. So you would create a moat of 10, 20, or even 50% and wait for it to fall even deeper into that moat. Once it hit whatever safety percentage that you came up with, then that's when it hits the buy zone. Now you also have to remember that's an even greater discount. So if you are right that it would grow 15% year over year, then in reality, if you bought in the moat, you're probably looking more like 20%. And this is exactly how Warren Buffett himself analyzes stocks and determines what's a buy and what's not. Now, like I said, stick around for part number 2 because that's when I'm going to go over how the numbers work and give you a live example. And that's also where I'm going to play with the numbers and show you just how messed up things could possibly get if you get the estimated growth rate wrong. I hope you got value in this video. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe as it really helps this channel grow. I have a dedicated Facebook and Instagram where I post updates on the channel and what we have going on. So if you're interested, feel free to check me out. Either way though, the choice is yours, and I'll see you in the next episode.